first thank Sam and Bill for inviting me. Sam gave me a call about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he asked me whether I would participate in this forum on organizing the unemployed and organizing the 99ers. And I told him that I'd be thrilled. And I thank him for inviting me. And during that discussion, he asked me to give a short definition of who the 99ers are and why we had a problem organizing the 99ers. We were successful in certain aspects, but in some aspects we never got traction. Now the 99ers were those unfortunate workers, the blue collar, the white collar, the middle class folks that got laid off early in the recession. We had pretty much the financial meltdown in the fall of 2008, but there was quite a few of us that were laid off in the spring and summer of 2008. And I myself got laid off July of 2008. And being the first folks that got laid off, we were the first folks that exhausted our benefits. Now when I tell a lot of people that exhausted my benefits, when they say, Joe, didn't I just extend unemployment insurance for another 13 months? Yeah, but it never included the 99ers. You get 99 weeks of unemployment benefits, and in some states less. And once you use up your 99 weeks, you're done. Extensions or no extensions. And therefore the term 99ers. We tried to organize. And I remember I became active when I realized that 99 weeks and there was no more benefits. And we tried to organize the folks. And in New York, we had quite a bit of success, thanks to Sam and Kean and Bill, thanks to Kean's 20 years of union organizing. But we seldom got more than 200 folks out to any of the rallies. And if you think that there was at least 5 million 99ers out there, only be able to muster 200 folks, that wasn't good. And why was that? Why didn't we organize a little better, or why couldn't we organize a little better? Well, the main reason was finances. You got to think, these 99ers have been living on $200 or $300 a week for 99 weeks, and then after 99 weeks they're cut to zero, and they're at the point where they're selling the stereo, the TV, they've borrowed from everybody they can borrow, they've sold everything they had, they cashed in their 401k, and now you've got guys like Sam and Bill and me and Kean asking them to travel up to New York for a rally. Well, the bus ticket from central New Jersey, and I'm sure it's similar from Connecticut or Pennsylvania, it was like 35 bucks round trip. Now, when you got no money and you're not even able to pay the utilities, $35 is a lot of money. So we were always hamstrung by finances. The second reason I would think is communication. You figure you have 5 million 99ers out there, and there was a lot of grassroots websites, 99er websites, popping up out of nowhere. Again, you had Sam and Kean with UWAG in New York, you had Bill White Flash Mobs for Jobs, Bill White with UWAG out in California, you had Wendy in Indiana with Unemployed States of America, and many, many more. And we did a lot of communicating through these websites. But if you ever really sat down and tried to come up with a hard number, how many people were we really talking to? My guess was we were really never really talking to more than 5,000 or 6,000 across the country. And to be only be talking to 5,000 or 6,000 out of 5 million, that wasn't enough. The flip side of communication was the media. The media pretty much had a news blackout on us. It was like a 99% news blackout. They seldom talked about us. They seldom mentioned us. There were a couple of exceptions. Ed Schultz always had a good thing to say about us. Then on the other side of the spectrum, you had guys like Glenn Beck, never had a good thing to say about us. I remember when we had the rally on Wall Street, he did a story on that, and he had his big screen up there, and he had his poker, and he's poking at the screen, and he said, you know, these people should be ashamed to call themselves Americans. You know, I mean, the audacity of us to go out in the street, exercise our First Amendment rights, and protest. And then there was another news anchor in New York, and she says, well, of course these people are going to have a tough time finding a job. You know, they're the first ones laid off. They're the bottom of the barrel. You know, so the media had this bottom of the barrel look at us. They had, you know, should be ashamed of yourselves. And that leads into the third problem. There's a cultural stigma about being unemployed. You know, there's something wrong with you. I mean, there's a lot of other people working out there. Why aren't you working? You know, obviously the boss had a reason to get rid of you. And it's tough. It's tough to get people to come out into the streets and rally and come up in front of the cameras and talk to the cameras when they're fighting a cultural stigma like that, when they're fighting a belief like that you know, they're not the victims, they're the blame, you know. The victims are being blamed for this. The fourth reason I came up with was, you know, we would call people, we would email people, and they said, you know, we'd really like to be out at that rally. You know, we'd really like to support you folks. You know, but, you know, I'm a single mom, I got kids. You know, I can't leave the kids for 3, 4, 5 hours to commute into the city, and you know, I can't afford daycare, I can't afford a babysitter. Other people, you know, my car's broke down. You know, there's other people that had elderly parents to take care of. So there were people that wanted to be there. You know, the spirit was willing, but for personal reasons they couldn't get out there. Then, fifth reason, you know, us folks that were trying to organize this. This was the first time any of us were really trying to do this. You know, we were starting from ground zero. We were learning as we went. You know, thank God that we had Kian, because she was the only one with union organizing experience. She had 20 years of organizing experience. And really, if it wasn't for Kian, I don't think we would have gotten the Wall Street rally going, and we wouldn't have gotten the Merrick Street rally going. So we were very fortunate to have somebody like Kian, and the rest of us were learning as we went. And the sixth reason I came up with was, you know, we could never really find any effective or powerful allies to help us out. We were always kind of like the ugly girl at the dance. Nobody really wanted to dance with us. Nobody really wanted to join up with us. Nobody wanted to help finance us. And we were always pretty much on our own. The help. The help we got from our allies was minimal. So that's pretty much my overview, and those are like the 6 reasons I felt that we had a problem organizing, and at that point I'll hand it back to the chairman of the panel.
Chairman.